part. Now if you look at the punishment part, see there is only two things that comes in the punishment, and in last 10 years there is only 2 times the question has come from this topic, that is the punishment, right? 2015 there was a question and 2020 there was a question, right? Apart from that there is no question from punishment, but still what kind of question comes? So if you look at our the syllabus, it says punishment and emerging trend as to capital punishment. That is the syllabus, right? Punishment and emerging trend as to the capital punishment. Now it means the first topic that we have to cover is basically punishment. Now what do we study in punishment? So we simply study the theories of punishment, that why punishment is given, what is the primary purpose of the punishment. Now in that, how to answer that question? Now this question has never been asked with regard to theories of punishment, but if it is asked, you have to simply talk about theories, major postulate of that particular theory and the name of the jurists. Okay, so and so proponent of this theory and the primary purpose of the punishment is so and so, right? So 3/4 theory, retributive theory, your reformatory theory. Most of the time this is the most important theory that normally jurist believes in. Then the second question, the second aspect of the topic is the capital punishment. So you have a question mostly on capital punishment. So it means that the last 10 years the 2 question was, both of them was on the capital punishment. Now in capital punishment there is an endless debate, and if you go to that Sodh Ganga website, you will find that almost each year there is 10 to 12 PhD thesis on the capital punishment, right? Because there are so much nuances attached to it with regard to capital punishment, right? Now what are the nuances? So there are basically 3 major nuances to the capital punishment. First is the evolution of the rarest of rare doctrine, right? Now in that rarest of rare doctrine, there is something called mitigating and aggravating circumstances. If you find that aggravating circumstances was much more than the mitigating circumstances, then you will not give him the death punishment. So we will study in detail aggravating versus mitigating. And third is the constitutional perspective. Do you think that the death punishment is against fundamental right? No matter how bad a person is, ultimately he have a right to life, right? So the state killing someone, to send a message killing is wrong is self very contradictory in nature, don't you think? Okay, I am killing you to teach you killing is bad, right? So that itself is a very contradictory thing, right? So those sort of argument that generally comes. And the fourth argument that comes is, do you think that death punishment is justified? Here what you have to do simply that you have to simply talk about what? Different philosophical lines with regard to whether death sentence should be there or it should not be there. Now most of the argument with regard to justification of death sentence is that, see, it is the collective conscience of the society that must be satisfied psychologically for a crime which is very, very heinous in nature. Because that is the only argument, and obviously a lot of humanist jurist argument, right? You killing a human being is a wrong thing, it is a life very important which should not be killed, or ending of life itself is against the very nature of the human being, so on and so forth, right? Because God has given human being right to reproduce, right? I mean capability to reproduce, right? It means creation of life is in your hand, but ending of the life is in the realm of God rather than the man, right? Those sort of philosophical sort of argument, right? So it means when you are writing an answer with regard to death sentence, then remember in that death sentence 4 things, 4 distinct headings and subheadings would be there. The first would be the creation, that is rarest of rare doctrine. In that rarest of rare doctrine, mitigating and aggravating circumstances, then constitutionality of death sentence and whether it is justified or not, right? Now it means most of the time the question comes from this part itself, that is the capital punishment. Little bit we will talk about this punishment part also obviously, but most of the time we will focus on the capital part. Understood this particular point?